Folks, my name is Eric Howe, and I'm here to talk to you about an issue that a certain tribe of Native Americans is facing today, and that is the issue of the Dakota Access Pipeline. The Dakota Access Pipeline is a pipeline that'll run from the oil-rich fields up in North Dakota across the Mississippi River over to Chicago. From Chicago, it'll transfer to pipelines where it will be sent down to Texas to be refined into a product that we could actually use. So the issue with the oil access pipeline is that the group of Native Americans being affected by this is the Standing Rock Sioux. And the Standing Rock Sioux are making claims that this pipeline is being built on ancestral burial grounds. And the problem, though, with this is that this oil pipeline is not on the reservation to start with, and the ancestral burial grounds are on Army Corps of Engineer land. And the only reason why I say it's a problem is that Native American graves typically, depending on how far you go back, aren't marked. They are unmarked graves. And the only reason why this presents a problem is that unless you go out and survey the land or have a deep background knowledge of where the Standing Rock Sioux lived and raised their families, you don't really know where that burial ground is. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to say that these claims are true. So the pipeline is being built, as I've said, not on the reservation, right off the reservation, on the Army's Corps of Engineers land out there. So I'm not personally, I'm not against oil. I love being able to drive my 99 V6 Ford Taurus. It makes transportation a lot easier. The problem, though, is that this pipeline is being built going across the Mississippi River. And going across the Mississippi River, if the pipeline should burst or should leak, it's going to contaminate the entirety of the Mississippi River. For those of you that have been down to New Orleans or anywhere near the mouth of the Mississippi River, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say that that water is deeply contaminated with any runoff from ships, runoff from land, just contaminants from ships and plants that are along the Mississippi, and it's very nasty, dirty, smelling water. And you know water is bad when the water has a bad smell to it. So the water down at the mouth of the Mississippi isn't a problem. The problem is that if this pipeline should burst or should leak into the Mississippi, it's so far up that it's going to contaminate the entirety of the Mississippi. Now, this isn't just a Native American issue. This should be thought of as a issue of the entire United States that we should face, because it won't just affect farmers or ranchers or anybody who lives near the Mississippi. It'll affect the entire United States, because if these farmers can't get clean water to cultivate crops and to raise herds of cattle or sheep or any stock that we or any livestock that we consume, they won't be able to provide the food that we use. So the Mississippi is the greatest concern. So the problem that goes along with this oil company has gone right along with it, building this pipeline. And it's gotten to a point where the Obama administration has had to step in and say, you guys need to stop because of what has been, because of recent events that have happened. And those recent events happened before September 9th, when the oil company was hiring private security guards to protect workers. Now that's not a bad issue. When you have such a large amount of protesters, it's not a bad idea to invest some money into private security guards to keep these workers safe. The problem is that the way these security guards have gone about it. And if you look at certain footage, the protesters for a while stood along and marched along the fence, protesting the workers and the entire pipeline. Now we have to understand that the workers aren't at fault for this. They're doing what they're paid to do. Now, depending on what you think, what your philosophy is on it, you may say that it is their fault because they're going through with something, but they're getting paid to do this, so they're going to go right along with it. There is one thing that I will say that the protesters did that wasn't a very smart idea, which was breaking down the fence and charging the protesters that were working on the bulldozers that were plowing and bulldozing land. First off, this presents a safety issue for themselves say one of the construction workers wasn't looking, and one of the protesters would have been stricken down and run over by a bulldozer. The second concern is that they were charging workers, and this presents a safety issue for the workers themselves. So if you look at footage of this occurring, one of the construction workers actually throws down one of the Native Americans charging him, and with all due respect to the people protesting this, that construction worker, in my views, was in his full rights to do that, as that Native American was presenting a threat. You may say, well, what kind of threat were you talking about? Well, this is somebody who's protesting something that I'm doing, I'm getting paid to do, and he's charging me. What is he going to do? Is he going to throw me down and beat me? The construction worker didn't throw him down and punch his lights out. He just threw him down on the ground and waited for the private security guards to come over and take care of him by pushing him away. The problem, though, is that after this rush of people came on, they started marching and protesting again. Security guards had trained dogs out there, and these trained dogs were let loose into the crowd, and people were bitten, faces, arms, legs, feet. Horses that the protesters were riding on were attacked as well, and all around, that's just not a good thing to have dogs going out and physically harming people. Because the only part of this that actually got physical on the protester side was when they broke down the fence and charged the workers. They didn't come up and press up against the security guards. They didn't push them. They didn't try to strike them down. They did get up and talk to them. They hurled a few insults. They were upset, angry, somewhat understandable. But the construction workers were put into certain situations that wasn't right. But after all the construction workers took off, the private security guards decided to take care of the protesters with pepper spray and mace. Maced many people, pepper sprayed faces, and that was about it. It actually got to a point where the private security guards got into their trucks and drove off, and that was the end of that. And the Obama administration, after this event occurred, stepped in, halted construction, and we'll see where this is going. So, on a personal level, I'm Native American myself. I am a Navajo. This is the Navajo Nation flag, a miniature version of it. My father is Navajo. I'm half Navajo. I am Kia Ani, that is the Towering House People, that is my clan. And to me, it's a little bit of a strike in the face when we see that the mainstream media, or that much of America, cares much more about someone who decides not to stand for the national anthem, or people who are tearing apart their own city over a issue that has been proven that group's claims wrong, and they decide to tear up the city about it. When we see something that's not only affecting and will affect Native Americans, but we see an issue that's going to affect the American Republic, the Native Americans, and every other Native American nation as well, if said pipeline should burst. So this is an interesting topic to get into. I'm bringing you information from what I have collected, what I have seen, and what I have read, and it's just interesting to see what's going to happen. This has been a very interesting year when it comes to events and politics, and there's a old Chinese curse that says, "May you live in interesting times," and folks, I think we have been cursed with that, seeing that we are living in very, very interesting times. So, like I said, I'm bringing to you the information that I've collected myself. Like I said, personally, I don't really have anything against oil. I do have certain reserves against the way oil is collected and distributed. It could be distributed much easier and safer by trains, other than a pipeline, as a train can be controlled with speed. A pipeline, there's so much of it that you have to cover. It's virtually impossible to make sure that a leak or a spill isn't happening until you realize what's happening. And if this pipeline should burst, it's going to put us in the long run for a very, very bad situation, as it's going to contaminate a lot of fresh water that is used. We see that rivers get contaminated by pollutants, and any town that's along that river, anybody who uses that river for anything, is deeply affected. There are cases of towns with rivers where chemicals leaked from treatment plants and contaminated the rivers, and all water access was shut down. There was a water crisis in certain towns. 1 or 2 years ago, the Navajo Nation experienced a water crisis when the Kings gold mine spill occurred where contaminated water from that mine was accidentally released because it was not properly depressurized by the EPA, and contaminated rivers, not only just affecting the Navajo Nation, but affecting the towns in Colorado that the river ran through. And it affected the Native Americans. And the only reason why I say that this is a problem in the long run is just using this example, the farmers that used the river were given oil barrels full of contaminated water because the EPA did not clean them out properly. I want to say that that's something that's understandable, but that's not understandable at all. And let's think about it on a larger scale, not just affecting two groups of people, but affecting everybody who lives along that river and affecting everybody else who receives products that are a result of that river. It's just a bad case. So I want to hear your opinions about it. Why don't you leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'll talk to you guys next time about it, and if you have more information, keep me posted in the comments below just about what's happening out there, and let's just hope and pray that this situation is resolved for both sides and no more blood has to be spilled. Thanks for watching. Bye.